This is going to be like a really difficult video to make, but it has to be made. Somebody has to say something. In one of the last videos of this series, Exposing the Worst in the Aquarium Industry, I talked about like I should start saying things, and if you guys want me to, I'm not going to be Batman of the aquarium hobby, but I'm definitely not going to shut my mouth. But it turns out I'm going to have to be Batman. In fact, this is just one of another videos that I'm working on as a part of this series. However, the next ones are going to hit a little closer to home and directly affect myself. I've decided, in order to describe this video for you guys, I want to tell you a few things. A massive lawsuit within the aquarium industry is happening. A lot of money is missing, and one person is being accused of taking it from a nonprofit organization. I'm talking almost $800,000. I've done my due diligence, contacted the county courts in California and various other sources, and did public records requests. So everything I'm going to show you is a public record. And in fact, I'm going to leave the links in below so you can read things in full if you would like to. I want to summarize this for you just to give you an idea of what we're in for in this video. I've only kind of skimmed through the lawsuit, and I want to take a deeper look, but from what I could gather, and I might be wrong, and I might not get this right, however, I'm going to use myself as an example. Imagine if I was the treasurer of a local nonprofit aquarium association. In fact, I was the treasurer for approximately 30 years. The treasurer means you're in charge of all the finances, the bank accounts, paying things, etc., from what I can recall. And I come from club days where I used to be a member of a local aquarium club, then I got on the board of directors, then became vice president, finally I became president. This was before my YouTube days. I technically come from the organized side of the hobby, and it had built me into the aquarist that I am today. The nonprofit organization that I'm talking about is a registered nonprofit, the American Cichlid Association. The treasurer is Dr. Tim from Dr. Tims Aquatics. However, I'm going to put it as if I'm Dr. Tim. I'm the treasurer. I have full and only access to the bank accounts. And from what I can gather and what's being accused and or alleged, mind you, you can't really file a lawsuit unless we're going to get to that. I change all the passwords to PayPal, all the online banking, and then even though the American Cichlid Association is based out of Ohio, I changed the address for the banking information to my address in California so that no bank statements are seen by anybody else. After some reports and some irregularities, it seems as though things aren't adding up and everybody wants to have a look at the bank records. I stop replying. I take the money, at some point, we'll have to look into it. I take the money from the nonprofit charity savings account, and I take it and I put it in the checkings account. And then I take it, that money, and I transfer it to my bank account in the amount of at least $795,000. And then I stop answering people or stop talking to people. This started, I believe it was in like 2024. And it's been ongoing since. I can only imagine the nightmare that these guys are living through. Now that you've gotten a basic idea and we know that we're going to look at this lawsuit and what's being accused, and or at least alleged, I want to talk about a few more things before we get moving forward. I have no affiliation with Dr. Tim. I've never met him. I don't believe his products are even in Canada, and if they are, I've never seen them. I've never had any association with him whatsoever. I will say that I'm aware of him through various YouTubers and or events where I'll see like him speaking or something like that. I never saw him speak. I am familiar with his product, the one and only nitrifying bacteria. I am fully aware that it is regarded as one of the best nitrifying bacteria starters on the planet. And I would have reached out for him for comment, but according to this lawsuit, and I want to get this out now because I want to go back to my own videos. And I want you guys to be able to follow along with this because they got to go to court next month. I'll show you how to be able to watch that or see it or get the results at least here shortly. I would have reached out for him for comment, but according to this lawsuit, he has a habit of ignoring accountability. And I don't want to waste my time or be pushed along or have him say something like, oh, I can't talk about something illegal, blah, 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 blah. Hey, dude, it was a mistake. It was an accident. I don't know. It doesn't look like that, but we'll get to it. Also, the ACA didn't ask me to say anything. They didn't tell me about this. I'm going to show you how I heard about it. And they didn't provide me with any details outside of what I discovered on my own through my own detective work as the Batman of the aquarium hobby. It sucks that I've worked for 18 years on this aquarium channel and it's gotten to the point where I have to talk about this because this type of stuff is so darn prolific and nobody's saying anything. And I made some calls. Like I said, 18 years on YouTube. Before that, the organized side of the hobby, I've made a tremendous amount of contacts with industry experts, every influencer, you name it, companies, events. And if I can't talk to that person directly, I know how to get to them. I asked around. Everybody I asked knows about this. So I was like, why isn't anybody saying anything? I know why, and I'm not going to address that. I think everybody just, not happened to me, so I don't care type of thing. And I don't want to look bad or whatever, so I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm up here in Canada anyways. We're supposed to be nice, and I'm over here being the bad guy. They certainly also didn't give me permission, but what I want to say respectfully is I don't need the AC's permission to make my own videos about information that's open to the public. This is public information at this point. I just went onto the county website, the county court website, typed in the case number, and pop, boom, popped up. It was that easy to get everything. The point of this video is that we're going to form our own opinions and thoughts and be able to follow along with this by kind of disseminating this lawsuit and trying to figure out what happened. Before we get to it, a couple more stories. Back in, what day was that? Back in 2015, the first club or event I had ever gone to in person outside of like my own local club from years and years ago was the American Cichlid Association in 2015, I believe it was, down in Louisville. It was in Louisville, Kentucky. This year's it's Louisville, Kentucky as well. Dustin from Dustin's Fish Tanks invited me down. I flew down, we split a room, we shared that room, we hung out that weekend. That was my first event ever, the ACA, and I hung out with Dustin. The very next time I ever came to the States was another ACA, but I was on a mission. I heard Rachel O'Leary was a member and she was going to be there, and I was on a mission to convince her to become a YouTuber. It ended up working out, but it took a long time, but that was the second purpose of going. So I definitely have some sort of like a personal, nostalgic kindness towards the ACA. So I just want to put that out there. But it's not my motivation for today. My motivation for today is the industry needs to be put on notice that this can't happen anymore. We're not going to tolerate it. This isn't your ATM type of thing. Anyways, the ACA published a news article back on April of 2026. They kind of just go over a few things, and but they eventually get down to, basically they're just addressing this in general. In 2024, the Board of Trustees, BOT, had noted some irregularities in the provided treasurer's report. Numbers were just simply off, and the Board of Trustees reached out to the former treasurer for answers which were not provided. They also attempted to meet with the treasurer mid-2024, so I'm assuming a few months later, and the meeting was fruitless. A certified letter was sent indicating that they were removed as the treasurer and there's somebody else, so you got to give us all the information. Tried to gain access to the bank accounts since June of last year, but the bank would not relent despite a signed cooperate resolution, blah, blah, blah. I'll provide these links so you guys can read them in full, and I suggest you do. Only by December of 2025, the former treasurer and his lawyer, why do you need a lawyer, bro, finally gave the Board of Trustees access to the bank accounts. You know, if somebody was like, hey, there's irregularities in your paperwork and also you're not the treasurer anymore, I'd be like, oh, okay, sure. What's the irregularities? Here's all the access. Why a lawyer immediately? I don't know. That's interesting. I guess you should, just because you lawyer up doesn't mean you're guilty. I guess, you know, you should Always have a lawyer for, like, if you can afford it, but whatever. So you can't file a lawsuit without knowing what was taken, how much was taken, and where it went. Suspicion alone is not enough. And this is where this lawsuit becomes interesting because it's incredibly specific, and we're going to get to it in a second. Once the board was approved to vote to sue, they did audits, lawsuit for courts, February, nature of the... Yeah, let's just jump right in. So they did some forensic digging and realized, coupled with some of the information they already had, this money was stolen. The definition of stolen, I don't know if they use that description or verb in the lawsuit, but the definition of stolen is taking something without permission. So this is the electronically filed lawsuit that I got the courthouse directly. American Cichlid Association versus Timothy Hovanek, Dr. Tims Aquatics, LLC, Hovanec Consulting, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just going to explain who the parties are at first. We're going to skip right down to like what evidence is and what they actually have on somebody, because this is incredibly interesting. So this is Dr. Tim's replacement as treasurer and delay transitioning. After concerns about informal and confusing manner in which Dr. Tim was maintaining the plaintiff's funds, the plaintiff's board of trustees voted February 19th, 2025 to replace him. They tried to contact him, asking to provide information about the finances and bank accounts. Tim was uncooperative with these efforts. Now, I'm only seeing the complaint. I don't have their discovery, which means their evidence. That's coming. We'll be able to get a hold of that here at some point. There also might be depositions, but discovery is everything. When you claim something, you have to prove it, and depositions would be like interviews. After his replacement, he continued to ignore, refused phone calls, emails, given the way he had set up the plaintiff's and the plaintiff, his ACA's finances. Dr. Tim had opened all of the plaintiff's bank accounts. This is what we need to pay attention to. Both its checking account as well as its savings account that hosted most of the ACA's nonprofit savings funds, with Bank of America in California, where Dr. Tim lives. Dr. Tim set up a mailing address for these accounts at the location which ACA informed and believes was the same location as Dr. Tim's business in Simi Valley, so that the statements would come to Dr. Tim instead of the plaintiff. And the online logging information and two-factor authentication, both plaintiff's Bank of America accounts as well as his PayPal accounts with his own email address, own phone number, using his own password, meaning nobody has access and you don't even get the bank receipts. As a result, Dr. Tim was the sole person with electronic and physical access. First and foremost, ACA, why'd you let that happen? There should always be 2 to 3 people that have to go to the bank or that have to sign or have to agree or something along those lines. One person having full control, but I mean, after 30 years, you tend to trust somebody, I guess. I don't know. This means the ACA had no access or visibility to those accounts. At times prior to his replacement, ACA had placed the utmost trust and confidence. Yeah, figured. However, his refusal to respond to the plaintiff's attempts to transition, we're going to get into some more evidence here. Refusal, he just doesn't want to talk to them. Improper and disruptive, a breach of fiduciary duties. So this is a summary of kind of what he was, what they're trying to claim here. Okay, go ahead and read those. That's like the boring stuff. Now we're going to get into where the money went. After reviewing the bank statements for plaintiff's bank accounts, after reviewing the bank statements for ACA, American Cichlid Association, it's their money. It's the members' money. For the first time in December of 2025, ACA discovered that its accounts had been systematically drained of funds during Dr. Tim's tenure as treasurer and trusted steward of plaintiff's finances. The discovery was especially shocking because Dr. Tim had led the plaintiff to believe that it had over $850,000 in funds at its disposal. In particular, prior to the replacement of Dr. Tim, had prepared the treasurer's report for the financial year ending in June 30th, 2024, claiming that there was over $850,000. So in June of 2024, he said there's $850,000 in there. When they go into it, it was gone. ACA learned that Dr. Tim's report was false. In reality, the Bank of America account statement showed that as of June 24th, when Dr. Tim made his report, plaintiff had approximately $414,000 in these accounts, less than half of what Dr. Tim had represented. And by November of 2025, barely $45,000 of these funds remained, meaning about $800,000 of the reported cash was no longer in the plaintiff's bank account. Oh my Lord. That's a lot of money. Kind of makes sense though. I don't know if he's hiring somebody for editing and filming and all that, but he's pumping out content right now all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's just kind of like, I seen this happening with him for the past few months, but I had no idea this was happening. But I did notice, like, man, he's making a huge push on social media. And in my opinion, it's to, well, now you got money to do it, or two, I'm going to become so big and drown out all the noise that even if I'm caught for this, I'll have no real repercussions because you can't reach everybody. Not to be arrogant, Tim, but I'm a bit bigger and I can reach a lot more. And this video is going to get shared a lot. And some accountability is going to happen if this is true of what you're being accused of. ACA reviewed the account statements, made it clear what happened during that time. Dr. Tim had sole access to the login information. This is where it gets crazy. He had caused hundreds of thousands of dollars to be transferred electronically from ACA's nonprofit savings, which is earmarked for special charitable purposes. I mean, they do all these like funds and stuff. Like they give away and donate and help a lot of people and individuals and kids, and it's crazy that like this money would just be taken if that's what happened. From there, Dr. Tim had transferred the funds out of their checkings account and into an account ending in 7911. Did you ever get your bank statement and then like it's star 7911? Not 7911, but it doesn't show the whole account number, correct? So he took the money from the savings, put it in the checkings, because from the savings, I think there would be more of a paper trail and or probably more limitations, I think, in my opinion. That's how my savings accounts works, or investments accounts and stuff. Take it, put it in your checking. Checking is a little easier to wire with less limitations and limits, I guess you could say. To an account ending in 7911. At this point, they don't even know who that is. Based on the review of the ACA available bank statements, Dr. Tim transferred at least $641,200 in funds in this manner to the account ending in 7911. At that time, he was the sole control of the plaintiff's account. He did so in a series of online transfers, which were most entirely round number figures, either to the closest 500 or 1,000 increment. Now, as a business owner and or having types of expenses, it's very, very rare, unless it's a big donation or something, I guess, that something's rounded off to the nearest $1,000 or the nearest $500. You know, it's usually like $15,322.16 for that bill to book that convention center or something like that. You know what I'm talking about. Dr. Tim's actions continued even after the plaintiff replaced him as treasurer. In particular, Dr. Tim had caused a total of $290,500 to be transferred to this 7911 account after the ACA removed him as treasurer in February of 2025. So he kept taking money even after he was replaced and said, "You're not the treasurer anymore." This kept happening. So that's, in my opinion, that's where it becomes a little bit damning, because once you're told, okay, don't touch it anymore, it's hands off. You don't keep transferring money out. I'm sure this can all be explained away, but that's what we're here for. We want to follow along and we want to know. In ACA, we don't necessarily have your back or Dr. Tim's back, but this is the members and the hobby's money. I've helped contribute to it, and people for years upon years upon years. This is of public interest. Dr. Tim's actions, okay. Even more damning, Dr. Tim transferred $129,500 to 7911 after the plaintiff's counsel, their lawyer, had written to him explaining the exercising dominion over these funds was illegal and a breach of fiduciary duties. At this point, Dr. Tim undisputedly knew that he had no right or authority to make transfers in question, and yet he continued to. In particular, the following Dr. Tim's replacement as treasurer were as follows. These transfers here happened after he was replaced and told. Oh, 49,000, 112,000, 60,000, 59,000. I don't know anything that costs 000. Bank of America, this is where it's going to get a little damning. The Bank of America statements further showed to ensure that there were sufficient funds to cover these transfers from the plaintiff's checking account to the account ending in 7911. Dr. Tim used his sole access to ACA's online banking to cause hundreds of thousands of dollars to be transferred from ACA's nonprofit savings fund, which has been established in the names of major donors for nonprofit purposes like research and conservation, into ACA's general checkings account. When the ACA's former chair, Jan, asked Dr. Tim by text why he had not provided statements for this account ending in 7911, like, hey, we know you transferred it to this account ending in 7911. Can you give us those statements for that account? Dr. Tim went and said this was his personal account and that the account did not belong to the ACA. Accordingly, Dr. Tim refused the request to provide the bank statements related to this account. Took all the hundreds of thousands of dollars, was told, you're no longer the treasurer, stop everything. Then a lawyer told him to stop, and he kept doing it. I think I read that right. And then he admits, that's my personal account that I was transferring it to. Wait till you see what's next. Like I said, I skimmed this a little while ago, and now I'm just making this video for the first time. So I understand if this is like a little long or boring or whatever the case might be. Evidence shows that Dr. Tim, you know what, I'm just gonna call him Tim. Doctor is a sign of reverence and respect, and I guess he earned it. Man, you know what? Innocent until proven guilty. Dr. Tim was transferred ACA's funds from ACA's checking for no apparent consideration or value received, and without the consent of the ACA or its board of trustees. You had no authority, you had no consent, there's no perceived value. You're just transferring it to a third-party bank account, which they have the text messages of you saying it's your account. Again, disclosure will happen, and we'll be able to get all of that stuff here in the near future. Plaintiff reviewed the statements of Vanguard and noted a further $154,000 transferred out of the funds to third-party accounts during that time. Dr. Tim was served as ACA treasurer. During that time, Dr. Tim, okay. Earlier, they also said that they don't know how far back this goes because they can only get bank records to like 1998 or something like, or no, to 2000. I don't know, it's on here somewhere how far they're actually able to go back. Anyways, after all this happens, the lawyer for the ACA emailed the lawyer for Dr. Tim asking their lawyer to please ask Dr. Tim to confirm whether the bank account ending in 7911 is an ACA account, and if not, to confirm the owner of that account. His lawyer didn't respond. That's dirty. Don't want to give him anything, I guess. January 2026, this year, lawyers for ACA sent a lawyer for Dr. Tim a demand letter telling him to immediately identify all relevant information regarding 7911 as well as funds have been transferred. The ACA further demands that all funds inappropriately taken from transferred to accounts, such as one endings, be immediately returned. Did not respond. Dr. Tim's silence and refusal to provide any information about the account ending in 7911 and these unauthorized transfers, coupled with the preparation of fraudulent financial statements to cover up his theft, is further evidence that he pocketed. I didn't even think of that. So all of this money's going missing over the last few years, and he's providing false financial statements. Like, no, the money's there, but it was gone. And he transferred from savings to the checkings to his personal account that he admitted. Damn. First cause of action. This is just like kind of what they are looking to say he did. So one of it is conversion against Dr. Tim and any name he tries to claim or something like that, violation of penal code. Again, you guys can read that. It's kind of boring. I wouldn't say it's boring, but I don't understand it entirely. I just know the good juicy stuff because it's in alleges. So we got the money had been received against all defendants. 6 cause of action. 6 cause of action. Okay, so this is what they're looking for. It's called prayer for relief. On the first cause of action, conversion against Dr. Hovanek for money and damages in the amount, according to proof at trial, but at least $795,200, as well as punitive damages in the amount to be proven at trial. Punitive meaning punishable damages, might be lawyer fees or something along those lines. Maybe it's expenses or costs or something like that. On the second cause of action, the violation of California Penal Code, Section 496, against Dr. Tim for treble damages. Treble damages is something that's like they'll triple your claim for under certain circumstances or something. I don't know. I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to be able to kind of answer that. And they're looking for at least $2,385,600, as well as reasonable attorney's fees and costs. Oh. So I'm not sure if that's what they want plus the number one, or is it they're asking for both, like the $2,385,000 plus the original $795,000 added together plus attorney's fees and costs. A lawsuit, guys, I'm not sure if you know, but even before you go to trial, can cost like $30,000. But if this is all of it combined, we're looking at like a $5 million lawsuit. On the fourth cause of action, the third is another breach of fiduciary duty against Dr. Tim. Money and damages proven at trial, but at least $795,000 again. On the fourth cause of action, fraudulent transfer, they're looking for at least $795,200. On the fifth cause of action, for money had and received against all defendants for money and damages in the amount, according to proof of trial, is another $795,000. On the sixth cause, for unlawful business practices against the defendants, restitution in the amount proven at trial for another $795,000. I don't know how this works in terms of like, are they just asking for as much as they can and hopefully the judge awards at least that $795,000, or they're asking for them all individually and wanting it all? Maybe the judge would award that. Or is that $795,200 just applicable to all plus the $2.3 million? It'd be interesting to know to what all this is going to add up to. 2,385,600 plus 795,200 plus, damn, 795,200 plus 795,200 plus 795,200. I mean, it's over $6 million if that's the case. How much is a bottle of that bacteria? Probably like $25. Dude, you better get selling. You need to sell $250,000 of them. Oh, so this is filed February 3rd, 2026. But this is the link where I got it all from. This is what I'm going to put in the comment section below, where you're going to have access to the case and complaint and basic information, the parties included, the future hearings. One is on June 30th, and they have 15 days to submit evidence or something like that, I was reading. But all their hearings, the next one's just June 30th. But this is all the paperwork here. And we only looked at this here. So this is a cover letter. This is a summons where the case was assigned. This has nothing to do with anybody. It's based in the courts. This is mandatory appearance and setting the date and time that they have to show cause. Notice of assignment, mandatory appearance again. And that's when the ACA provided everything that the courts are asking, but there's nothing here from Dr. Tim yet. Pretty serious. My concern is like, how does everybody know? You didn't know, but like, how would so many people in the industry know that this is happening and nobody's saying or doing anything? Like, this guy's still going to events. What if he does it again? What if he does it to somebody else? Should we just leave him alone and wait to see the end of this? Or do we feel like there's enough there? I mean, I know that he's gone to Reefapalooza. I think he was served at one of the events in Orlando. One of these are like shows when he was served. But he's also going to Aquashella in about a week, and then, you know, a couple weeks after that, like New Jersey and where is this Aquashella? Yeah, he's going to September 12th. Or no, I think he's in May. I think he's going there on May 16th to Dallas. Let's look at the floor schedule. He might even be a speaker, but usually he's at all of these. Yeah, Dr. Tim, LLC, booth 113. That's him. He can afford to go all of these booths now. That's for darn sure. But I think Aquashella, well, let's put it this way. I know they know. I know they know because I know that people in his inner circle know when I talk to them. They know. And they're booking him there anyway. But Aquashella is no slouch to lawsuits and acting like it never happened. George Mavrakis versus, also known as George Charles Mavrakis, also known as George Mavrakis, was sued by Shawn Brian Hale. Which I also want to kind of bring up as I'm editing this. I tried to warn everybody about what was going on with Aquashella behind the scenes, and I don't think anybody really knows like a lot of the stuff and things that were said and done, et cetera, et cetera. But I tried to warn the internet like 2-3 years ago, and I was called delusional, crazy, off my rocker, intoxicated, everything you could possibly think of. When I was simply telling the truth, trying to warn people. Well, I'm the bad guy. This is easy to search on the Collin County court's records. Court case. Okay. So this was back in 2024. Shawn Hale of Best Aquarium Events sued George Mavrakis. Weren't getting along. Best Aquarium Events. It doesn't say Aquashella anywhere's on here, but this is over Best Aquariums events. And if we kind of go and look for the trademark of Aquashella, we can see the serial number, the registration number, but we scroll down and see that it's also a Best Aquarium Events property of them. And that's who it is, the Best Aquarium Events LLC. I don't think Aquashella is its own LLC. Maybe it is now that the lawsuit happened. Anyways, they ended up settling out of court by the looks of things after there was some a number of things happening, including a temporary restraining order. Must have got pretty nasty. But I reached out to Shawn. I was like, hey, do you know anything about the Dr. Tim thing? He's like, yeah, that's crazy. It's unfortunate. I'm really happy that you're saying something. And then he said, like, he has nothing to do with Aquashella. Because I said, like, Dr. Tim's going to be there. I don't think it's cool that he's going to be there. And he said that I don't really have much to say about the Aquashella breakup. I also didn't tell him I was going to use this in a video, so my bad. I just wanted to get away from the partnership that he was in, obviously with George. We had 2 different sets of values. I couldn't work with him any longer. As far as lawsuits go, if court documents are available, it will show I never did anything to George or Aquashella. The whole situation is just a pain memory. This is what I like about Shawn. I built Aquashella to celebrate the hobby and to educate hobbyists. The platform was to represent a high standard of ethics and integrity. I have no involvement in the decisions they make today. I was like, yeah, I figured as much. And I figured it was like over money. The day I met George, it was always about money. Then he's just kind of upset that, you know, the way things are going. And I was like, well, Aquashella sucks now. Everyone thinks so. Has no soul left. It's another aquatic experience. Which is true. But I guess Aquashella doesn't care about money, others anyways. Because when you kind of look at other events that are trying to happen and make things happen, and I'm just going to give you an example of that. Aquashella, New Jersey, September 12th and 13th. Chicago, September 26th and 27th. If you want to go to that, it's basically just another, I would say, it's a trade show with a couple unknown speakers. We don't go anymore. It's not fun anymore. The soul is gone. The excitement is done. It's just money grab at this point. Some people will enjoy it because it's still a big event, but I would say Reefapalooza is probably better, and it's a saltwater one. Aquashella was definitely the premier when it first began, but I think I don't know. Is what it is. I think I'll make a video on this eventually anyways. But then we go to the Keystone Clash was supposed to happen September 25th, right? September 25th. They announced it well in a year in advance. This is their 10th year anniversary, longer than Aquashella has been existing. Aquashella they didn't want to promote the hobby and help everybody and do everything. So instead they booked New Jersey and Chicago, which is on smack dab on either side of the Keystone Clash, meaning Keystone Clash isn't going to draw in the vendors and the sponsors to keep them alive and or the attendance. Chicago's the same day. I thought that was dirty. Unfortunately, Keystone Clash is canceled. It is what it is, though. And things like this happen. And it's interesting for me to see that everybody knows and then everybody still supports such things. I think some people, like I said at the beginning of this video, use the aquarium hobby like an ATM, as opposed to, I just got back from California for free. 18, 20-hour days traveling back and forth. And I went to the club for free to tell them and their members why aquarium clubs are the lifeblood of the aquarium hobby and how we need them and why they're important. Oh no, somebody's got to do it. I'm Batman. If you guys want more of this, let me know in the comment section below, but more importantly, let me know your thoughts on this. I have no interest on editing this fancy or anything like that, so hopefully it was digestible and you get the point. Links are in the description if you want to go read it on your own and follow along for yourself. Perhaps we'll do a follow-up video in the near future. This is just alleged information. A lot of this is just my opinion, but we read what we read. See you in the next video. What I also wanted to add was I think like some people just think that they can get away with everything because nobody's going to say anything. And I've watched that time and time and time again. My apologies that this is on my phone, but I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm not saying, because it's just accused, right? It's just, but like, let's get real. If you're accused of something so crazy, shouldn't you take a step back? Or did you think nobody would find out? I don't know. I think that in some way he should figure out how to do the right thing. But I also know a lot of you guys will hold him accountable and question him yourselves. I know a lot of you will probably flood his comments and be like, yo, where's the money? Like, where's our money? Maybe you're not a member of ACA. ACA is the hobby. Is a part of, like, they've been around for decades and decades. We're all responsible for them. We're all responsible for clubs like that and associations like that. I have countless friends that are members, that have been members for decades. Some of which got me speaking publicly in the first place. Now I've done it over 100 times. It could be said that a lot of some of my successes that I had could be traced back to them and or clubs and associations like them. And that can be said, that's the same for everybody else. Of course, that's not like I don't know. I just get so upset hearing this type of stuff. And I don't think it'll ever stop, but I think that as hobbyists, we decide who gets to survive in the industry and who doesn't. We need to do a better job of it. And I'm going to do my part, so I hope everybody else does theirs.